In this video, we're going to take a look at the multi-language support option that's available in Movicon Next. So what I'm going to be able to do is change all of these headings into another language. And we're not limited on the amount of languages that we can set. But for our example today, we're going to set this project to display in both English and French. So how do we get started? Well, to begin with, we need to come over to our project tree and come down to our texts section. We're going to double click and it's going to bring up all of the available languages that we can use. Now I can scroll down and try and find English, or I can use the search option and begin to type it in. And as you can see, it's brought them all up. So I'm going to scroll down and find English UK. And I'm going to use this as being my base development language because this is my first language. I'm also going to add in a new language, and this time I'm going to add in French. It's still, remember the selection from before, so we'll clear this. And search for French. And there we have it. So how does this actually work? So when we click the change language command, it goes through the entire screen and it checks each of the strings, each of the headings against the ID in the text table. If it finds the ID, it'll then replace it with whatever language we selected. So if we select English, it'll replace with the English translation. If we select French, it'll replace with the French translation. So let's go ahead and add our first item in. So I'm just going to click on batch. Now it's really important to note that this is case sensitive. So if I put batch in with a lowercase b, it's not going to recognize it. So whatever the case is, it's got to be the same. So what I tend to do is I copy all of my headings and text and I paste them into my table as I'm going. So that way I've always got them. Now I'm going to keep the ID and the English to be exactly the same. They don't have to be. If you was working with an electrical diagram, you may want to put the controls on screen as that diagram name and then change the English to be something more human readable for the operator. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to add a new string. I'm going to double click into the ID. I'm going to double click into the English. Now, there is the option to auto translate, and every time you make a change in any of the English, it'll automatically translate into the French. I'm not using that for this example. I'm going to use the translate columns, which is here. Click translate columns, and I'll need to tell it what I'm translating from and to. So as I mentioned, my base language is English, so I'm going to translate from English, and I want to see the French translation. I hit OK. And what it does is it goes away, brings back the translation, saves it into the French column. Now if we had multiple languages, we could do the same multiple times. So I'm just going to go ahead now, I'm just going to pause the video for a moment and I'm going to add all the other options in from the screen, and then we're going to add a command to the screen to change the languages. So now I've added all the other options from the screen. So what I'm going to do now is come over to my screen 1 and I'm going to put some flags onto screen, which I'm going to get from my symbol library, and we're going to use those to trigger the change. So I'm going to scroll down, and this is one of the cool things about the symbol library, that we've got all this done for us. So I'm going to grab my French flag. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Union Jack. And I'm just going to resize them just roughly over here. Just keep it nice and neat. I've used the tool which is for same height, same width, and I'm just going to align the tops. Now if we put the command straight onto these, it won't work. It's because they're set to be non-interactive. So we just need to change the properties on both of them. And I'm going to use the search property, so I'm going to put in is interactive. We turn that on. We come to the other option, the French flag. Again, click into properties, and it's remembered the search. And we say is interactive, and we turn that on. And just so I don't confuse myself later, I'm just going to now turn that back off. So now I'm going to put a command onto here. So I'm going to come down to Command Explorer. I'm going to come to Change Culture. Now this might be marked as language in your version, so just bear that in mind. I'm going to go to Language. I'm going to set it to English Great Britain. And then on the French, I'm going to put another command on, and I'm going to set it to be French. Now I'm going to save all, and then let's run this up and see what it looks like. So now our runtime started up, we can see it started in base English. And when I go over, I can actually hit the flag, and it goes and it changes all of my translations for me. But here's something to bear in mind, very important. We can see that the pump room has actually gone across 2 lines now. That's because different languages have different character counts for the translated word. So that's something to bear in mind when developing. The last thing you want to do is make your project look fantastic and then use a translation and it be too big for the box. So this is how you use language translation in Movicon Next. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.